Sponsorship Buddy is derived to, I think our boilerplate is accelerate and simplify the activation process. So what I'm going to present today is a little bit about what we already know about what's so great about selling partnerships in the sports space, what's changing a little bit with regards to how they buy, and then tell you a little bit, show you a few little click paths of how sponsors and teams actually interact with Sponsorship Buddy. But really what it comes down to is there's a collaborative approach. Digital is available to us that, if somebody were to say, what's one sentence of what Sponsorship Buddy does, we provide the ability to take those stacks of contracts that we all have, 30 days before kick. Hopefully you start working before that. And then how do we actually turn those into activated partnerships? How do we get the fulfilled media assets? Where do we put proof of performance? But how do they actually get activated? When do I hand out the rally calls? When is this game sponsorship? When are they using the suite night, right? So you'll find that there's a lot of project management principles that are built into this, but really what it's designed to do is provide a collaborative nature between the sponsor and the client. So the strike through is important, right? Partnership services, no, we're partnership marketing teams, right? We're designed to be consultants. We're working on client satisfaction. We're working on increasing renewals. We're your maximization guide when it comes to actually fulfilling the $1 million of sponsorships that you spent this year. But that's hard, right? So let's talk a little bit about themes, right? So advertising partnerships are what advertisers want, right? We're in a really good spot with the assets that we represent at sports teams, right? We have an engaged audience who love us. We have experiential marketing. We have regular assets. We have great digital assets. We literally have advertisers salivating to work with us, right? That's all well and good. And we're on the winning side of this argument, right? Because there is two sides of this. Because the losing side, as we all know, are one-trick ponies, right? The radio stations, the cord cutting, everything that's going on, right? We can't interact with, advertisers can't interact in a way that they want to by buying TV spots, right? Or it gets complex when they try to do it that way. So, has anybody bought advertising lately? Right? Everybody's bought like a LinkedIn ad, a Facebook ad. Chloe, I bet you've done it a few times, right? It's really easy to spend money on LinkedIn, right? It's really easy to spend money on Facebook. It's really easy to upload your ad, push play, right? Now there's some complexity and some strategy that goes behind it, but ultimately it's really easy. You can now buy billboards by just uploading your logo, right? Or whatever artwork you want to run with it. But what are the two themes with that, right? So the two themes that we want to say is advertising partnerships are great. They want the complexity, they want the digital advertising, they want access to our audience, that's great. And then the digital side. It's really easy to buy other competitors, right? It's really easy to buy LinkedIn ads. It's really easy to upload my ad. It's really easy to buy digital. And not only that, what else comes with digital? Really good ROI, right? Or at least the ability to measure if it's really good ROI. Instant feedback to what's actually happening. So as we build these 6-month partnerships and then they last a year, right? It's not really how people are buying digital. So with that, this is probably a familiar thing. I'll kind of explain it. So you've got your CRM on the top left that says what the customer bought. And then as a partnership services person, as we've talked to, interviewed customers across the country, it goes into an Excel spreadsheet that you then try to track. And then you do a meeting where you present it, or you present a Word doc. Does this sound familiar, Kelly? Good. And then, by the way, you start collecting the assets. Hey, I need your print ad. Just send it to me via email. And then you put it in the folder to where it resides long term, right? 2017 print ads, full page ad, version 7, right? And then you celebrate as you activate it, right? You run a print ad and it's all good to go. There's no other thing needed, right? As we've interviewed people across the country, this is actually what it looks like. Okay? Every single line on this page is from an experience that one of our prospects has shared with us. And I can go into all of them, but basically a lot happens. You have to involve different teams. As you can see, the phone calls that happen to the client to hit deadlines, right? I'm not throwing any client under the bus, by the way. I'm just saying typical situations. Where do I save it? Oh, no, I can't actually save it here because that doesn't make sense, so I'll just rely on my archived emails. Right? I'll just go back to Chloe's email from me, and I'll just go back through it, and that's the ones that I use, right? This is definitely the print ad they had. Then you have to present and involve other teams and digital, et cetera, et cetera. So you get the idea. It's pretty complex. It's not easy to do, especially with the theme of more complex partnerships. So We'll compare a little bit. Old world, inconsistent client experience, lack of visibility. Biggest complaint, we interviewed our clients' clients. It's not visibility into what's happening. Last minute exchanges, apologetic renewals. The new world, collaborative partnerships. Data-driven decisions from the client, right? Instantaneous feedback that you're able to provide to them, and hopefully exciting renewals at the end of the day. So, Sponsorship Buddy truly is a sponsor relationship management, okay? So what we have, these are our core values really as we strive, right? Ongoing value, memorable experience in a good way, on-demand utility, real-time updates with personalized service. So when they go and spend these hundreds of thousands of dollars with our teams, how can we actually on the services side not apologize all the time because we seem a little bit disorganized? So what we do really well, or what we try to do really well, is post-contract to recaps. The collaboration that happens with the client. So these 8 steps, so we can go all through them, but basically from the time that they get into that first Excel spreadsheet to the time you're saying, okay, where's their print ad? Where's their LED sign? Where's a picture of it in the stadium? I need the proof of performance stuff. And so that way you can go through this in a standardized way with all your clients. So we're going to show just a few ClickPaths. Usually we spend a lot more time going through ClickPaths and what it understands. But I'm going to introduce you to a team. And this is how we pitch Sponsorship Buddy. So you've got Jeff on the right. We're going to talk about, he's the partnership marketing manager, right, for the Hartford Whalers. You've got Karen Sterling next to him, who is the VP of Partnerships. What data is available to her with inside the system? And then the most important person of all is we have Heather on the left, who is WinStar Communications. She's a client. Okay, and so we're going to show how those 3 individuals interact, how they pull data, what actually happens inside Sponsorship Buddy. So first we're going to look at Heather. So prior to Sponsorship Buddy, like all clients, they've got to go justify their spend. They struggle maximizing the value of the partnerships. Did we miss anything? Does everything look good? Will you please put together a mid-year recap for me? How about a quarterly recap? How about any communication would be great. But let's look at what Sponsorship Buddy looks like to her. So instead of a long PDF document, we actually send her a login, email, password. She puts it in. She sees everything that the team needs from her. She says everything that the Whalers need from her with due dates. High resolution logo all the way to, and you can see on the bottom here, if I don't shake, 130-second radio spot with trafficking tasks, right? Not just 130-second radio spot, because you know they send them to you monthly, right? So it's a fully customized partnership services timeline for Heather. She can involve whatever team member she wants. We can add her digital team. We can add her print team. We can add whoever, right? And so let's see how she interacts with us. We'll use a simple example. Heather, we need your high-resolution logo, Jeff says. She clicks on it. She's got the title. She's got the status. She's got the specifications. She chooses a file, and she uploads. That is now attached to that item long-term. So when your digital team needs it, when you need it, when anybody needs it, they have visibility into the approved logo for WinStar Communications at all times. So I'll move forward here, right? So she goes down the list, hits all of the deadlines. She gets the email reminders. So Sponsorship Buddy will actually remind the client before things are due, instead of those phone calls and those emails that we all have to do. So now she can see exactly what they need, right? So whether it's a radio spot, whether it's a TV spot, no more FTPs, no more random Dropbox links. It's one central location that she can upload all of her assets. Not only that, but she can see them all in one place, right? As we think about this, we pitch this complex partnership that all the pieces are meant to work together. But then when you start activating it, piece by piece, right? So it's just easier. There's the print ad, there's the logo. Then they have to go back and say, okay, what did I use? How is it all working together? So now let's go to Jeff, right? So obviously there's got to be the account manager side of this. Jeff logs in and he's like, okay, my Home Depot account, my AT&T account, my Tumbleweeds Burritos account, my WinStar account. All of them are this status, right? I'm this percentage complete with them. So he's got an inside detail across all of his accounts. He's got in-app notifications, right? So that activity that we just did with Heather, which is a little more detail when we go through it for the full amount, he can see that he's got an uploaded file from her. So he checks that out, right? Clicks on the link. He can view it right in his browser. He doesn't have to download it. It lives there long term. Once again, it's appended to the system. Then he's going to mark that as approved, right? So we actually categorize attachments to approved assets. This is the approved one, the one we use, as well as proof of performance. Here's a picture of the program, and here's a picture of the LED. Then you can report on those, right? So now the 30-second radio spot. Once again, using an MP3 file as an example, clicks on it, listens to it in his browser, because MP3 can be viewed within a browser, and it's actually a 60-second spot instead of a 30. So Jeff, instead of actually going back to his email and replying back to Heather and saying, hey, this needs to be a 60 or 30, he actually just makes a comment in here. Says, hey, Heather, this is a 60. We actually need a 30. And hit submit. So you're actually able to collaborate within each of the tasks that need to be completed, right? This will actually send a notification to Heather within her email inbox. Says, hey, 30-second radio spot. Jeff commented that this is the wrong length, basically. So then now what do we have available to us, right? From a management standpoint, VP of Partnerships wants to know, where are all my partnerships at? How engaged are my clients? Are we complete with everything? Is everything going to happen before the end of the season? We only have 5 games left. She can go in and look at a usage report. How often her team members are logging in? What's the average account completion? What's the account engagement over the last 6 weeks? Are clients logging in? Are they not logging in? What's actually happening on each of the accounts? So then she can go at the end of the year, start at the top, scroll all the way down. Hopefully you have more partners than this, but she can make sure that it's 100% completed by the end of the year. And then what's the great thing about this is we just flip it over. So we actually have a button inside here that in partnership services, usually you start over and you redo the same print ad, and then you start readdressing those and saying, here's what you used last year, and you start working on it again. What you can actually do is just select them all, say roll this over to the next year, include all the attachments, so that way they can see what they did the year before, they can see the proof of performance, and then you start working on activating them again. So once again, she's got a dashboard. You can manage to these metrics as opposed to the silos of information that typically happens in partnership services. Obviously, Hartford Whalers aren't real. The Carolina Hurricanes, who they now are actually clients of ours, which is why we use them as a little story here. But these are the companies that use us on a daily basis. We get our activity reports that are logging in all the time that use us to interact with our clients from an activation services standpoint. So in one quick story, because I know I'm running out of time, so we interview our clients, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's why they buy Sponsorship Buddies, to take better care of our clients. If you haven't been to Utah, this is the Delicate Arch. Anybody been there? Yes, it's awesome. We're based in Salt Lake City, so it's right down the street. But the Utah Office of Tourism is a huge sponsor of the Jazz, the Tour of Utah. And he buys a lot. He buys across the country. He buys the Sundance Film Festival, if you're familiar with film festivals, top 3 in the world. He said, why didn't we have this 5 years ago? He has a team of people that activate this, but the complexity, right? The complexity of the partnerships is what makes it really hard. And quite honestly, he stopped doing business with the Sundance Film Festival because they were disorganized. He didn't know what he was getting, right? And they're not very good at it, we'll call it. So he didn't spend money with them. That's a top 3 film festival in the world. And Utah Office of Tourism is a top 5 economy in the state of Utah. You can't work with them because they're so disorganized. So it is a competitive advantage if you can do this well. That's it. I talked really fast, I apologize, but I had to burn through it.
Awesome product.
Cool.
2, let's say now from the activation manager, now you have to send these assets to like someone in marketing to get the logo up on the video boards.
Mm-hmm.
Is there can you add in a 3rd layer of
Yes.
management to someone internally?
So these buttons right here, and I'm going to step over here. So this share button, right? I can download it to my computer. I can share it just like Dropbox. So the link stays live. The link stays in Amazon Web Services if you're familiar, and you hit share. But here's the other thing that makes it really valuable. If you're talking about internal team communications, you can actually categorize these assets the same way you do in the CRM. So instead of doing that, you could actually give your digital person, for an example, or your print person, you could actually give them access to this. They could actually pull a report that says, let me see all of the digital assets or the web assets, whatever category you want, and he can actually see them, see the full detail, see the collaboration, see the attachments, and he can actually hit a download button that says download all the approved assets to deliver.
Like flight dates in there or like impressions or whatever.
Whatever context you need in there, yeah. What else?
Do you guys work with any brands where they can push on the team like, hey, you guys are a little organized? Is there a way for a brand to be like, hey, can you guys use this system? But they're the ones that actually own the system. You know what I mean? Like, can it be pushed from either side?
The way that so to answer your question, the way that a company buys it is we do have companies that say, hey, we use this with the Jazz, will you guys please use this?
Yeah.
So yes, we will sell in that fashion.
Okay.
We do, if you look at project management tools in general, usually it's 50-50, right? In this setup, the account manager has about 75% of the control. So the team will always have 75% of the control. That's where the activity is going to happen. But yes, we have had clients that have begged a team or an event to do this. And then we've been able to secure it and purchase it that way, even if it was just a one-off, one account only type thing.
Yeah, that was actually, I was thinking about that. You know, a team, a property has this, they put it out to their clients. I could see sponsor, I mean, it's extremely efficient and it's great when you walk them through it.
Yeah.
But how do you really get the sponsor to adopt it? Is there
Good question.
a training seminar? Do you show the efficiencies and somehow quantify that to get them intrigued by it? I'm just curious.
Tell you, I always tell a story when people ask that. 100% the question we always get asked. When we first started this, we did what we called our beta year with the Jazz. Kick me off. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
We did a beta year with the Jazz, and we had, if you remember this time of year, daily fantasy was really big. We'll call it. They were spending just a little bit of money in the sports marketplace, and we had him come to the Jazz, and he said, "I'm not using another tool." And I went, "There goes our business is dead. Like, just shoot us. We're done." But what we actually got from that is we have a training module, right? So as part of our training, when actually a customer buys us, is we have what we call our client training portion, which is email templates, the right phrasing to use, et cetera. So, and with that, Memphis Grizzlies, which is a brand new client of ours, they had 85% of their clients in the system within 14 days. So I would say that the answer is actually people are waiting for something like this, and it's really simple. In our interview with David Williams from the Utah Office of Tourism, it's simple. You know, that's what he says in our write-up on our website if you want to look at it, is he says it's simple. There's nothing to it. All I have to do is read and upload. If you can read email, you can do this or something like that. So it's easier than you think, but yes, we take it very seriously in introducing it to clients.
Does it interact at all with CRM, or what does that process look like to get from contract to including all the inventory?
Yeah, as you notice, I put Dynamics logo up there for a reason. We do integrate. But what we do is we firewall that integration, right? And that's not the right term. Ben is shrugging as I say that. But basically what we do is we have inventory templates that we can basically say, tell us the inventory you're selling. We put them as an inventory template, but then it's the activation manager that adds them, right? Because sometimes it has some jargon that is not client-facing, we'll call it, or to the example of the radio spots, doesn't have the full detail of what you're collecting from the client. But yes, you don't have to retype it. You say, I want to enter this account, then you just hit the button of the assets you want, which is directly pulled from CRM or Salesforce.com or an Excel document. We can basically pull it from anywhere, so you don't have to retype it. It's the key.
I have a question before I kick you off here.
Sorry,
I saw that you have the Ravens on your on your client list. Has Kevin Rocklet successfully sponsored this platform to service his other sponsors?
I didn't know they had it.
Yeah, and they, and, you know, so Kate, we worked with Kate and Lindsay, who they went with one client right now. But I meet with them here and next week, so we're getting close.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
So, obviously, this is incredible, and we have many, many teams in many leagues. So,
I bet.
do you feel like it takes away from the personalization of that one-to-one with you? Like, so I'm not
Please.
Kelly's day-to-day, but
Yep.
I work a lot with the Mets. But do you feel like, from a partnership versus like a fulfillment versus
Yeah.
strategy perspective,
Yeah.
do you feel like this has been affecting that at all?
I think the answer is this becomes a homepage for you, right? Because think about what's your homepage right now when you go meet with a client, whether it is face-to-face, right?
An Excel version of the contract.
Exactly, right? With what does these colors mean again? Is this good or is this bad? Is this checked off or not? So we still encourage the same activity to happen. We just say the data points should reside in here. But we have customers that go and meet with people that basically say, hey, grab your login, let's walk through things, right? And we actually have a print button that literally, you know, when you put together the mid-year recap, end of the year recap, all you have to do is hit a print button, and it will actually print out a full 8.5 by 11. It will include thumbnail images of the approved assets, of proof of performance. So what we say is, look, it's up to you how you utilize this data, but this should enhance the relationship. So it's kind of up to the team to do it, but from a day-to-day standpoint, what we want partnerships marketing people to feel like is less fulfillment assistants and version wranglers, as opposed to being, like we went back to the start, right? Those consultants that they can sit down across. This is just the backbone of data that we have together.
And then, second question.
Yeah.
Can you put kind of limited use on certain users? For example, if I'm the main person, I want unlimited use of all of our stuff.
Right.
But if I need to give my login to an agency,
Yep.
for example, like let's just say Jingle Ball, for example, and I want to do this for
Yeah.
our activation at Jingle Ball, but I
Keep-
want to
keep
give
it-
our experiential agency this access. I want to give our media agency this access.
So when I go back to Heather's page here, what you can actually do as an activation manager is, I wish I could show you, but you've got WinStar, and then you have WinStar-Agency 1, WinStar-Agency 2. You as the manager you have access to all three of those pages. So you can bounce back and forth to see who's working on what.
Right.
But then the agency can only see the one that you assign them to.
Cool.
Exactly. So you can firewall them. You can have multiple contacts. And the other thing, too, is you have email settings, too, right? So you have the person that's like, I'm day to day. I need to fulfill this. My job's on the line to make sure this happens from the client perspective. But then maybe you have the other person that's just peripheral and just wants to log in once a month. You can manage both of those.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up, so thank you, Cameron, for that.